From the start, let's be clear that Thin From Within isn't going to tell you what to eat. It's not going to tell you about carbs or calories, but it is going to tell you about what you can do to fortify that self-discipline muscle. And self-discipline is a muscle. And I'd like you to start thinking of it that way. You know, a lot of people look at self-discipline and they kind of say, well, I don't have enough self-discipline, as if it's something that you're born with. Well, it's important for you to realize that like any muscle that has atrophied, an atrophied self-discipline muscle can be fortified. And this is something that Thin From Within allows you to do. Through progressive exercises and drills, you actually learn to build self-discipline, the capacity to say no, which is ultimately the bottom line when it comes to sustaining lifelong weight mastery. And we're actually retraining the mind. And retraining the mind, there's a term called neuroplasticity. And with neuroplasticity, you're actually changing the circuitry in your brain. The structure of your brain can be changed. I call this habit reformation. We're actually going to change your relationship with food, how you think about food, how you react to food, and how you can fortify yourself to really handle various skirmishes with food and with life itself. So it's very important for you to realize that habit reformation is the breaking of old habits and substituting a new and fortified regime where you're in charge and you're calling the shots, not your food. There are three enemies to lifelong weight mastery: circumstances, harmful emotions, and toxic behaviors. Circumstances could be anything from the stress of handling family life and children to stresses on the job, things like that that just create a kind of stress that we carry with us and that we look to anesthetize ourselves with by just escaping through food. The same goes for stressful emotions. Anxiety, depression, stress itself, and boredom. Most people don't realize that even boredom can create stress. We try to fill the emptiness sometimes in the vacuum of our lives by eating destructively, by snacking. And the last, of course, is behavior patterns, destructive patterns. And it's these patterns that we become somewhat unconscious of. They're kind of like reflexes. You know, we go home, we turn on the TV, we just eat mindlessly. We get a bag of chips and just keep dipping into it until all of a sudden we realize the bag is empty. You know, these patterns, these habits have to be illuminated. By understanding the impact of the three enemies, circumstances, emotions, and habits, you start to develop your critical awareness. And critical awareness is really your best friend when it comes to really just resisting the urges and the cravings and the destructive thoughts that come to sabotage your intentions. And as you well know, when it comes to destructive eating, the mind can be very, very compromised, if not hypnotized, by the cravings and the longings for the food that we crave. So once you understand that there are certain circumstances that can make us more susceptible, this awareness takes it out of the mindlessness of eating. And the mindlessness of eating is only 50% of the battle. The other 50% is putting in place an optimism, putting in place a capacity for self-discipline, allowing yourself to grow with self-respect and confidence, developing tenacity and attitudes of strength. As tempted as you may be to feel sorry for yourself, recognize that life isn't a snapshot. It's a streaming video. Who you are in this moment will inevitably change, for better or worse. It's determined by you. As you begin to self-coach a more positive, optimistic attitude, you will find your self-esteem evolving. Whatever your misgivings at this moment, remember, a healthy, positive self-regard is a choice you can begin to make right now by trying to embrace the simple truth that there's nothing wrong with you. And if you find yourself trying to build a case as to why you're not okay, be warned. This is nothing more than your pessimistic habit working to prevent you from changing. Why? Because to the pessimist, change typically feels too risky. And when something feels risky, it's usually accompanied by some degree of stress. We humans simply tend to cling to what is. It's the devil you know versus the devil you don't.